Once upon a time, these mysterious islands changed our understanding of the natural world forever. It's a place with lunar landscapes, hidden depths, and where unique and curious creatures roam.
Turtles over here, sharks over there, tortoises over there, bluefin the boobies back there. It's a crazy and wonderful fantasy place.
The Galapagos.
I love it.
2 years ago, marine biologist Monty Halls came here with his wife Tam and his daughters Molly and Isla to see the challenges these islands were facing.
I feel really helpless. I don't really know what I can do.
Since then, concern for the planet has become a global phenomenon, rallying old and young. And the birthplace of evolutionary theory now faces a fight for survival.
Bye-bye giant tortoises, bye-bye turtles, bye-bye nesting birds, forever.
Monty and the family are back.
Look at that! How big was that stingray?
Bigger than me.
To discover what's changed.
We could potentially be creating a misbalance.
Work with conservationists, protecting the archipelago.
The idea is to catch it, check the wound, and then let it go again.
And learn how these tiny fantasy islands could inspire real solutions for the whole planet.
If I can do anything to help protect these creatures, I would do it.
The Halls are at the start of an epic Galapagos adventure.
Okay, let's do it. You're on. Welcome aboard.
It was these remarkable islands that sparked Monty's love of conservation. So for him, it's a bit of a homecoming.
It's a wonderful feeling to be back out here again. And when I say back out here, I'm 600 miles off the coast of Ecuador. We're out in the wilds of the Pacific. And it's just a lovely moment to reflect that I'm back. We're back as a family.
After 36 hours traveling from England via Colombia to Ecuador, and then onto the Galapagos island of Santa Cruz, they're finally heading to Isabella. It's the largest of the 13 main islands, and with its iconic seahorse shape, one of the few that's inhabited in the archipelago. This long crossing was made famously by Charles Darwin, known as the father of evolution. He may not have had 2 children in tow, but he had other challenges.
Darwin obviously saw the same views, the islands on the horizon, with the difference that Darwin was puking, probably. The whole 5 years he was on the Beagle going around the world, he was seasick.
Isabella was one of the key islands that informed his theory of evolution, with animals found nowhere else on the planet.
It's coming over. You have got to put, look, here it comes, here it comes. It's an actual penguin.
Oh, wow!
Look at that!
Wow, we saw it!
What a reception committee. Your own personal penguin.
Yay!
Well, there you go, we've officially arrived. We have officially arrived.
It was only about that small. Mine's smaller. No, it was that small. No. They can never be that small. Only eggs.
Isabella has just one town, Puerto Villamil, founded in 1893 by the first human settlers. But these islands and their animals are so unique that when the people moved in, the animals just stayed right alongside.
I can actually see that sea lion waving.
That's it.
They're so unafraid of humans, there's even a local law asking everyone to give them a few meters of space. Some animals are positively prehistoric.
That's a real iguana! A real one!
A real one?
That's a big one, Moles. It's as big as you.
It's a grown-up one.
The family will be staying in a small house right in the middle of town, partly to get the best sense of the challenges local people and the animals are facing.
Where's the house? Are we
Right here. Do you know, it's better than I thought.
It's a no-frills home,
A kitchen, yay!
Oh, please, got a kitchen. You can eat.
which also fits the family's aim of living as simply as possible.
So who do you think is going to sleep in there?
Us!
So you want that one,
I'm on this one.
and you want that one. Well,
Is it
well done. That was
crazy?
fair. That was very democratic. Come on, let's have a look at the rest of the house.
I really like it. It's really cute, and I think the girls are going to be happy in there. I think we'll sleep well, being able to listen to the ocean, the wind in the palm trees.
I don't break out the pink milk every day, and this is definitely a pink milk moment, I would say. Do you like your house? Do you think it's cool?
I've got a feeling we're not going to want to go home this time.
No, I agree.
Over the back wall, the beach is just meters away. And even pink milk can't compete with pristine wildlife right on the doorstep.
That's one of the famous Isabella iguanas. Look at that. Size of a crocodile.
Daddy!
Yeah.
He first visited the islands probably over 15 years ago, but the minute he comes here, the minute he notices an animal, be it a lava lizard or cockroach, he becomes like a big kid again, and he loves sharing that with the children. And we just get carried along with it.
Oh, look, it's moving on. OK. Well, are we ready, team? Marine iguanas are one of the really iconic animals in the Galapagos. They're an animal everyone associates with the Galapagos. Because they feed underwater, they have big issues with salt accumulating within them. They essentially filter their blood and snort salt out of their nostrils. It's a fabulous mechanism. Darwin hated the marine iguanas. He thought they were ugly, stupid lizards. And I'll show you what he did to an iguana. He picked it up and he threw it into the sea. That's what he did. And the marine iguana swam back to exactly the same spot. So he picked it up again and he threw it into the sea again. And he did that again and again and again. And he couldn't understand why it kept coming back.
In fact, as cold-blooded animals, they were heading up the beach to bask in the sunshine.
They only swim for sort of 20 minutes, an hour a day maximum. And they all want to get up the beach there and lie along that reef at the top of the beach above the high tide mark. So there's no way the cold water can get to them. So there we go. And I'm in your way, aren't I? And your way, and your way. I've suddenly realised what's going on here. So I'm so sorry, chap. Shall I move? I'll move.
Being right on the equator, the islands enjoy 12 hours of daylight all year round. And the following morning, the beach is busy with blue-footed boobies and penguins fishing for breakfast. The Galapagos Islands are a World Heritage Site, and 97% of the land is uninhabited national park. Pablo Valadares is a park guide, and he and his English wife Laura are old friends and keen conservationists.
Yeah, well, welcome, very welcome.
So they know exactly what's been happening on the island.
We have been doing little things like coastal cleaning, picking up plastic. Now the plastic is a huge problem for the world, and we in Galapagos, we are like addressing that problem as well. For example, no anymore straws. Plastic straws, you will not find them.
So
they are not allowed in the
banned.
Galapagos. And so this is great.
The people who are going to make a real difference are the kids of this world.
It's a huge change in 2 years, the amount of children and the amount of people that are picking up rubbish. They're a lot more conscious of it. And it's amazing. One child picks up rubbish and another child sees them and they're like, oh, okay, why? And then the next one does it, and it's a chain reaction. As soon as they love the place, they're going to want to protect it. So I think that's all part of it. The education for the children, I mean, that's everything.
But there have been more explosive changes too.
Was there a volcanic eruption here?
Well, yes. But, you know, like you are in Ecuador. Galapagos is one of our provinces, and Ecuador is surrounded by volcanoes.
While that seismic news sinks in, the girls are dreaming of island delights.
Can't wait to see sea turtles. We haven't seen any yet.
Molly's bar is a little higher.
Dolphins and swimming with sharks and hammerhead sharks.
But Monty's thoughts are still rumbling on about that volcano.
I can't get away from the fact that Isabella, just out of interest, is the most volcanically active island on Earth with people living on it. And you can't...
I did not know that.
Did you not know that?
It's the Hall's first week in Puerto Villamil on the island of Isabella in the Galapagos.
How long are we going to have the bikes?
We can have them all day. We're going to go on a little adventure.
They're here to understand the pressures this island and its animals are facing and work with conservationists looking to find solutions.
That's good. You're looking good, moles.
Around 3,000 people live in Isabella's only town, but in recent years, resident numbers have risen, along with a surge in tourists. They bring benefits and challenges for the environment and the wildlife. Tourists aren't the only summer visitors to the islands. At this time of year, the waters around the Galapagos become a magnet for migrating marine life.
I brought the family out with some fishermen who are going to push far offshore. These are the migratory routes. You get humpbacks out here with their juveniles. These are big seas.
Monty's hoping the family might see humpbacks, who come from the coastal waters of Ecuador, where they have their young. But this area is a huge hotspot for all levels of marine life, due to food.
6 different ocean currents converge on these islands, bringing nutrient-rich and cold, oxygen-rich water.
The Humboldt current from the Antarctic meets the warmer waters from Panama and mixes with the currents rising around the equator. The result is a soup of stirred-up nutrients, providing food for plankton that in turn support life at all levels of the marine ecosystem.
Oh, wow!
You see anyone jump out?
And the girls get a glimpse of this food chain in action.
Say, here, fishy, fishy, and they tend to come over if you shout that.
Here, fishy, fishy!
I think you've got to shout a bit louder. They can't hear you, they're underwater.
Here, fishy, fishy!
They're coming.
Here, fishy, fishy!
A shoal of yellow-tailed mullet come up to feed on the surface, while brown noddies pick off plankton from above.
From the surface, you can't see a lot. The kids were just galvanized by it.
But to experience what's happening deep underwater, Monty wants the girls to listen to the sounds of the sea.
I heard you! Yeah?
That was a very weird noise. It can be a perception this is a one-dimensional world. If you can't see it, it's not there. And of course this, a simple thing like a hydrophone, opens up a whole new world.
Scientists know that humpback whales can use sound to communicate over thousands of miles, with separate pods having their own distinct calls. But hearing is crucial to many more marine species. But it seems that young fish use sound too to reach the sea after they hatch on islands like Isabella.
I hear something.
These suddenly realize it's all going on down there. Animals communicating with one another. Crustaceans worming their way into holes. Claws clicking. And it things like shrimp as well, snapping shrimp. And you can hear this very distinct tick, 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 tick.
But it seems that young fish use sound too to reach the sea after they hatch on islands like Isabella.
There's evidence emerging that juvenile fish, when they come from mangroves, the way they find reefs is they listen. They actually listen for them.
But this underwater navigation is threatened by a bigger global problem. Around 25% of the world's increasing carbon dioxide is absorbed by the oceans, and higher levels are changing the acidity of the sea, affecting marine life in all kinds of ways.
There is a very interesting element to this. Basically, the bones fishes can hear with, called otoliths, are being worn away by increased acidification of the sea. What that means is they can't hear reefs anymore. So juvenile fish, there is evidence that they are struggling to find reefs now. When they come out from the mainland there, from the mangroves, from the nurseries, they can't find the reefs because they can't hear them.
Since their last trip here, it's estimated CO2 levels have risen more than 4%. And Tam is determined to tackle the family's own carbon footprint.
Everything that we do creates CO2, the water usage, stuff that we're leaving in landfill. All of our everyday life has an impact here. I was just really keen to think about how we can live sustainably, just being more aware of our environmental impact, including our flights coming out here as well.
It's controversial and complex, but carbon offsetting is one way of making a difference, by donating to green energy or reforestation schemes. As a result, Tam has offset the whole family's return flights to the Galapagos. 26 native trees will be planted within the UK, offsetting their trip.
Just to think that we are trying to do something positive to help the impact that we've had is something that is important to me, and it's important to Monty and the girls as well. I think to know that we can do something positive is really important for us as a family.
Travelling around the Galapagos under sail, Charles Darwin was blissfully unaware of the transport issues to come. But his theory of evolution and natural selection overturned scientific beliefs of the time and revolutionized our understanding.
We were just monkeys, and then we evolved. So, like from crouching monkeys, we kind of started standing up a bit more, and then a bit more, and then a bit more, and then I think we started to use our brains a bit more. And then we evolved into humans.
The Galapagos giant tortoise is the largest tortoise on the planet and one of Darwin's inspirations. Spotting variations in their shells, he realized they had adapted, becoming unique to their habitat. But the tortoise is struggling to keep up. Since humans arrived here, their population has fallen by 90% to around 35,000. And on 3 islands, they're extinct. But Isla and Tam are meeting a scientist who knows where to find one.
This whole area should have quite a lot of tortoises in the pasture.
The key to conserving a future population is understanding what giant tortoises get up to. And on Santa Cruz Island, Dr. Stephen Blake from the Charles Darwin Foundation is studying their annual migration as they travel from lowland areas to the lusher highlands. Staring a 240-kilo tortoise in the face could be intimidating for a small girl, but not for Isla.
When they're scared of an animal or human, they have to clear space inside the shell, so they let lots of air out their lungs, so they can squeeze their heads and legs in.
Using GPS trackers, Stephen and his field assistant Freddie have discovered that tortoises follow similar routes every year. The data is part of an international study, tracking species around the globe.
We're particularly interested in the migration because around the world, long-distance migrations are just disappearing. As the world is cut up by roads and infrastructure and cities and housing, shipping lanes, you name it, we're fragmenting and dividing the world. On Galapagos, we're specifically working with farms like this one to better understand how to manage those trade-offs between development and the fact that people have got to make a living, and the fact that tortoises have got to make a living.
Understanding their movements can help local farmers manage their land, setting aside corridors for the tortoises to use. Stephen and his team have fitted over 100 GPS tags to giant tortoises. They can pinpoint the whereabouts of each individual to the nearest 5 meters.
Does that hurt it?
No, see, your mum probably files her fingernails, maybe you do too. So that is what it feels like for a giant tortoise. With that tag, we might be able to follow this tortoise's movements for about 20 years. But we can't really follow it very well if we call him tag number 7258. We're better off giving him a name. What do you think we should call him?
Speedy.
Speedy it is then.
Bye-bye, Speedy.
Tortoises usually travel 40 meters an hour, but the following day, Speedy appeared much slower.
We came back to check on Speedy. He had only moved about 6 meters. Not very fast.
Isabella is one of the youngest Galapagos Islands, formed around a mere 1 million years ago. The island sits right on top of a volatile volcanic hotspot.
This is an extraordinary bit of the Earth's crust that I'm driving over at the moment. 2 kilometers beneath my tires is the elemental force that created the Galapagos.
Sierra Negra is the largest and most lively of the 6 volcanoes on Isabella, and only half an hour's drive from the family doorstep. It erupts roughly every 15 years, most recently in 2018. But the molten rock beneath has already risen again by a meter, leading a team of scientists, including Stephen Hernandez from Ecuador's Geophysics Institute, to investigate what's going on.
Hi, Stephen.
Nice to meet you.
I've made it into your world.
You made it.
I feel like a marine biologist a long way from sea level.
You're very far away from sea level.
Seismologists, like Stephen, collect data from 14 stations dotted around the volcano and use it to predict the risk of eruption.
Stephen, I've watched way too many films in my time where you have, like, you know, the needle going like that. It's perfectly normal. And then suddenly it goes like that.
Yep.
And, you know, all hell breaks loose. Is it similar?
In the case of a volcano, it really is true what you're saying. And what that is essentially it's the final sort of push of the magma propagating underneath the surface, but it's moving. It's on the move, and with our sensors scattered all across the island, we're able to track it. And so I have here an example of just one such sensor, the one that's up here. But you see, you basically go from flatline to just an amazing amount of activity just popping off. And so this was the day of the eruption, June 2018.
Wow.
And so I have here 6 hours of data that was compressed into a minute's worth of audio. So if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and play that.
Yeah. Yeah, wow, and you hear the earth muttering and growling. Sort of sounds like something ripping apart.
Yeah, exactly. These snaps and crackles and pops of the earthquakes as they're occurring underneath the volcano. And so as the volcano is slowly being reactivated, it's stressing the faults that are nearby. And then there it is. Hear that swoosh?
Yeah.
That's the lava coming out. And it gets a little bit louder.
That's fantastic.
And you can even hear in the background, there's still like these little small little pops. And with these sensors that we have, we're able to locate very accurately where they're occurring, what magnitude are they changing. And so all that information is critical for putting the broader picture together, is what is the status of this volcano? Should we be concerned?
How's the activity right now? I speak as a man who's just moved here with his 2 small girls.
It's reduced substantially.
Oh,
so you're in the clear. And luckily we have a lot of dedicated people that are working to maintain the network. So if there is any change, everyone, yourself included, will be
It gets communicated
informed immediately. Yeah.
Sierra Negra is one of the first volcanoes to be monitored in the Galapagos. And near the top, there's a hint of what's going on below, as fumaroles belch out noxious, sulfurous fumes.
And standing here right now, you can see why cultures around the world have thought that this is the realm of the gods. It is an extraordinary place. This huge amphitheatre, and at the heart of it, the fumarole, the volcano, still hot, still burning. And this, you realise, is the origins of the islands themselves.
The Galapagos. Like the rest of the planet, these islands are struggling to handle the growing impact of us humans. It's these issues that have brought Monty and his family back 2 years after their last trip to work alongside the scientists and local people, striving to find answers for us all. In this marine haven, one issue is starkly apparent.
If there's plastic on the beach, it might go in the sea, because we saw loads of plastic when we were coming back, like from the sand, and Mum said we should clear it up. If it goes into the sea, it will just die the animals if they eat it.
Back in 2017, Tam saw the problem for herself when she joined up with environmental scientist J.P. Munoz.
This is a sample from the ocean.
Wow. And then they get even smaller and smaller.
And smaller. And that's the problem. Every plastic that has been created since the 19th century is still on this planet, and is going to be still on this planet forever.
Now Tam's back to join JP's latest research trip on a journey that will take her far up the coast of Isabella. She and the team will squeeze aboard a 43-foot vessel for the week-long expedition.
Well, this is the low deck, and this is all the accommodation for all of the crew and the scientists that are on the boat. So, as you can see, it's quite small. There's kit everywhere. Yeah, it's definitely sort of out of my comfort zone, but it could be a lot worse. It really could be.
They're heading to Cabo Marshall. It's a voyage of around 60 miles to the remote northeast tip of Isabella, where the team hopes to find giant manta rays. These incredible creatures can have a wingspan of over 7 meters, and they feed by sieving the seawater for plankton, especially small crustaceans called copepods. Manta numbers are in decline, but now they're facing new threats from tiny plastic particles found in seawater. JP and fellow scientist Dr. Kathy Townsend are investigating the huge impact these microplastics have on marine life.
The giant mantas, they're so massive, you'd think, what would What sort of harm would a microplastic do to a manta?
So if you've got microplastics that are the same size as the plankton or the copepods that they're feeding on, they'll digest that directly. And these microplastics have an ability to absorb toxins as well. So the animals might be consuming this, and there might be a possibility that those toxins that have been absorbed by the microplastics end up moving into the animal's body tissue.
They already know plastics can fill the manta's digestive system, depriving them of nutrients. It's cutting-edge science and the front line of conservation. For Tam, the trip is a big step.
Be out here, setting off, leaving my children hundreds of miles behind me, and it's mind-boggling to me. Really, yeah, it's quite... I think it's really good for them to see that mums, dads, we have our own passions, our own life, our own work, things that we want to get involved in as well. And hopefully it's kind of, it will inspire them to think, okay, you know, if mum can do that, you know, so can I.
On land, Monty is on dad duty. Laura and son Kian have invited them to Dias de Famille, Family Day, raising money for the local school.
Hola, mi llamo Monty. Thank you for inviting us today. Gracias. Thank you.
It's a day of fun and games and a chance for everyone to make new friends.
Run, Moles! Run, Moles, run! Oh, no!
School children here are taught from an early age to look after their wild home. And Molly and Isla share their passion.
What have you got? That's a water balloon. Well, that doesn't belong in there, and that's an M&M's thing. Well done, you two. What might happen with that?
Turtle's going to mistake it for jellyfish.
A turtle could eat it, couldn't they? It's a wonderful thing that we've got a whole new generation coming through that are more aware of things like this than we ever were, and they really, really care about this stuff. That's great. I really enjoy spending time with the kids, and it's really nice to see them playing with other kids. Although I have just heard there is a hotel nearby showing the rugby final at midday, which also has a swimming pool. So my children could be doing a lot of swimming today.
Back at home, even extra swimming isn't dulling the absence of Tam.
I missed her because of everything. Because it just didn't feel the same without her. Going to the beach wasn't like going to the beach without her. I just felt like one part of my heart was having chucked into the sea somewhere. I just miss her.
After sailing all night, finally Tam and the team are getting close to giant manta ray territory.
I think it's the best place to be on the boat, actually, out here, because you do feel like you're kind of flying across the waves. And actually, it feels like we're definitely on an adventure now. We're on a mission to try and find the mantas.
They need to spot them in the area so the team can get working.
So basically, we're going to try to collect water samples. And the most important thing is that we have to go where the mantas are eating. So we're going to see if it's microplastics there. It's going to be a mix of microplastics and plankton. And that's the thing that we want to assess.
JP and the team suspect that some of the microplastics are so small, they're also being eaten by the tiny copepods the mantas eat. This can affect the reproduction of some plankton, which eventually could wreak even more havoc with the manta's food supply.
It saddens me so much to think that all around the world, you know, they're in a very, very vulnerable position. So if I can do anything to help protect these creatures, I would do it.
The challenge is to spot one in the swell.
So keep an eye out for wingtips coming out of the water like that. And a dark shadow under the water.
Quite a few manta-shaped rocks here, aren't there? What are the chances of seeing one?
100%.
100%? I have faith. You have faith.
Their patience is finally rewarded.
We've just seen a manta. Not a huge one, but definitely spotted one. So we're just trying to see whether they're actually feeding or not. And if they are, that means we can start doing some of the science that we've come here to do.
With the dragnet out, they can start sampling. Logging the unique markings of each manta helps the research, so Tam is on her way. A green turtle has come to see what all the fuss is about.
They really capture me, they really do. It's almost like they can hear music under the water and they are dancing away, and they're just the most gentle, beautiful creatures you could ever imagine to see under the water. Yeah, amazing. It went right underneath me. I was like, whoa! That was a giant one. Plastic in the marine environment is a huge issue and it's not going away. What makes me happier is that people like JP and the scientists here are doing a lot of fantastic research and work and are communicating this fact to the science community, but also, globally. We have to stay positive. We have to think it's disastrous, but it's not a disaster, and we can do something about it.
It's been almost a week since Tam left the rest of the family behind to go in search of manta rays off the coast of Isabella, the largest island in the Galapagos. And today she's being reunited with Monty and the girls.
As soon as you see her, the first one to shout mummy gets a prize.
Mummy! Hi, Daddy!
Hi! Oh, it's so good to see you. God, you look so grown up. I've only been gone a week.
The adventurer returns.
Well
done, well done.
How did you find it?
Oh, I surprised myself.
According to the kids, they had a brilliant time. They really enjoyed it. They loved being with you.
I told them to say.
Did you so? Did you give them some money? We've got lots of stories to tell each other, haven't we?
We have.
But before they do, there's time for one more adventure together. Just offshore from Isabella, there's a hidden natural wonderland, like nowhere else on Earth. It can only be reached when tide and conditions are on side.
This is boat wrecking stuff. This is the reason that only fishermen can come in here with incredible boat handling skills. This is Los Tortoise, and for many people it is the #1 place in the Galapagos Islands, in the whole archipelago. It's like paradise, it's like utopia here.
Born from volcanic eruption, these lava tunnels make a great sheltered habitat.
Oh, look!
lot of turtles, you're going to see a lot of sea lions, you might see some rays, and you might see some...
Sharks! Fish!
Pablo knows this land intimately.
This is unique. In the whole Galapagos Islands, you won't find any other place like this. So we basically are in an area where we had a lot of lava tunnels, lava tubes. And with time, with the erosion, the roof of these tubes collapsed.
So this was all solid?
All solid.
And gradually the sea worked in
and made this unique formation.
It's like celestial architecture.
There's like lava bridges and lava columns and one of the most beautiful places on Earth.
It's also a nesting site for one of the most flamboyant of all Galapagos birds, the blue-footed booby.
Oh, gosh. He is really small. So
This one is
days.
certainly, yes. This is,
Oh, a few days. A few days.
look at that.
Look how long its little wings are there.
So the blue feet becomes blue depending on the quality of the food. So the better food that they get, the more beautiful feet that they will get as well.
Female birds are thought to choose the mate with the best blue feet as an indicator of good health, and they often mate for life.
That's what these guys are like. So look at my shoes. That means I'm really successful.
Yeah, we saw baby blue-footed boobies. It was so cute. They were adorable. I saw a purple blue-footed baby, but really they're not real.
And there's one last bit of magic under the water. If Monty and Tam can persuade their youngest to take the plunge. On the last visit, Molly was 3 and couldn't swim. Now she's learning, but has been nervous to try it in deep open water. Understandably.
Now we're making this big jump. You know, she's 5 and she's about to swim through these extraordinary lava formations. That's the plan. Anyway.
I think that she will love it.
Especially with her blue-footed booby feet.
Yeah.
It can sort of change your life. You know, not being too corny about it, but it sort of alters the course of your interests, your passions. It did for me. So I think that's why I'm really keen to get them in the water and for them to just to think and just to experience this whole new world.
Ayla, Molly, remember the first impression. It's going to be cold.
Don't worry, Pablo. Talking to a couple of Devon girls.
Okay, that
They're
makes a
used to the
difference.
cold.
There's loads of fish here.
Gonna go over, Holly?
You can sit on my back while we snorkel. You can use me like a boat. As I swam away, I got her on my back and she said to me, I want to go back to the boat. And I was like, no, come on, Moles. Give me another 30 seconds, Moles. And she put her head in the water by my shoulder and then I just sort of lifted her up and she drifted off and I saw her face in the water. And I thought, that's it. She's gone. She's gone. I've lost her to the sea in a good way. And you can see she was stoked. She was like, all right, you know, that snorkeling nailed. So it just made me as proud as Punch. So there you go, that's the marine world. That's 70% of our planet, right there. Get stuck in. Incredible. That's the remaining 25% of the family converted. Well done, my girl.
Put a snorkel in it.
Well done.
It's a huge step for a small girl who could only brave the rock pools 2 years ago. A thought that's echoed for Monty as the family reached the end of their first weeks back in the Galapagos.
The one thing these islands have always specialised in is change. It's the reason scientists love them. It's the reason conservationists love them. It's the reason Darwin was fascinated by them. But now these changes are different. There's more tourists, more development, and more pressure on the animals. And there's also more research to inform what needs to happen next. There's a lot to do and a lot to understand.
Next time, the Halls discover that desert island life can have its challenges.
The neighbours haven't got electricity either.
And come face to face with some of the most endangered and majestic species on the planet.
That was outstanding. Outstanding.
Baby shark just swam straight past my face.